Well, we did the Pledge of Allegiance, and before we start off our meeting, I'd like to take a few seconds. We lost one of Elkton's own yesterday. He was, I truly believe that he was a member of the Team Elkton. Mr. Richard Lemon, 86 of Elkton, Maryland, passed away on Tuesday. Mr. Lemon was attended a lot of our meetings. He was always willing to offer input into the town budget, into the way that we guided our town, and in most cases, quite frankly, I think he had a lot of good ideas for our community. He will absolutely be missed. And I'd like to take a second and ask everyone to bow their heads for just a moment for Mr. Lemon. Thank you. And I'm sure everyone will say something good about Mr. Lemon at the end of the evening. Okay, first up on the agenda, the minutes of June 2nd, 2021. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes? So. We have a motion by Commissioner Givens, a second by Commissioner Brummel. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Financial report and payment of the bills. Do we have a motion to approve the financial report? So we have a motion by Commissioner Maspiano and a second by Commissioner Piner. Any discussion on the financial report? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries. Okay, next up we have Joe Zarillo is going to talk to us a little bit about the Fraternal Order of Police Collective Bargaining Agreement. Joe, are you on?
I'm on. I'm here.
All right.
Okay, our current collective bargaining agreement with the Fraternal Order of Police, which represents our sworn police officers with the town of Elkton, the current agreement will expire June 30th of this year. So earlier this year, we received correspondence from the FOP that they want to engage in negotiations for the new contract, which we entered into those negotiations back in February. We met on numerous times. I met numerous times with the negotiating team for the FOP. We started in February, and it was a real collaborative effort. And we really worked together to come up with what we believe is an outcome that is extremely fair and equitable for all parties involved, not only the employer, but for the employees. Also, we took into account certain caveats that might go into helping with the recruiting aspect, seeing that we're in such a very competitive market to attract, keep, and retain police officers. Some of the agreements we came upon, the alterations and some caveats we put into collective bargaining were, let me read them off to you. The first one was K-9 handler will be compensated for the care of the police K-9 at a rate of 1 hour of overtime per day to K-9 handler's care. Number two would be a field training allowance. If a member of the bargaining unit is designated to act as a field training officer, he or she shall receive a field training allowance of 1 hour of overtime for each shift worked as a field training officer.
Joe, could I comment on that?
Sure.
I think the board needs to know that when officers graduate from police academy, they go into a field training program. And Carolyn, you can correct me if you don't know, Joe, I think it's a 8 or 12 week period.
Yeah, well, we have reduced it to 8 weeks, but we can extend that up to 12 if we need to.
It's currently 8 weeks, and it can be extended up to 12 weeks, Lou.
Okay, I was going to say it's important for the board to realize that when you get out of a police academy, you don't just get in a police car and start riding around Elkton. They actually couple up with a senior officer where they receive additional training and experience before they're cut loose. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Joe, but you can go.
That's it. Number three would be this is going to be a 2-year contract. It'll go in effect July 1st of 2021, and it'll expire July 30th of 2023. The first year of the contract, 23.
Yeah, June 30th, 2023 expires, yeah.
The first year of the contract, there will be no COLA, no cost of living adjustment to the pay scale. The second year of the contract, there'll be a 3% COLA. So there'll be a 3% cost of living adjustment to the pay scale. Number 4 item will be the creation of a senior officer first class rank. This will be for officers completing 10 years of service and having a satisfactory performance evaluation. They'll be entitled to go into that senior officer first class rank, which will be a 2.5% pay increase for them. Also, we agreed to provide a pension plan pre-employment military service credit, which means a participant with pre-employment military service will be granted additional credit service up to 3 years. So if they're in the military and you have honorable service, they can get credit for at least 3 years towards their pension.
After you serve 20 years.
After you serve 20 years. You have to serve at least 20 years, and then you can claim your 3 years of credit for military service. The town also agreed to a provision in the pension plan that will allow participants to buy back missed service time up to 1 year lifetime related to workers' compensation non-service. The participant has to contribute both the employer share and the employee share of the cost. However, the town did agree to cover the employer's costs for up to 3 months lifetime. And that's pretty much the all the alterations or changes to the contract. And again, I believe it was really a good partnership, and everyone worked hard to come up with a fair and equitable agreement, and I believe we did.
And on the FOP end, they voted in favor of that contract, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
So Lou and Joe, are you waiting for us to vote in favor of this tonight?
Yeah, you have to approve that so we can get it initiated or signed because it goes into effect July 1.
Correct.
Very good.
And we don't have another meeting.
Chief, do you have any questions or any concerns with this agreement?
I actually don't. I didn't get a lot of interaction with FOP this time, but Assistant Town Administrator did keep me apprised and had talked to me about it to see if I had any concerns.
Thank
And
you.
I don't. I think it's very fair.
John, did you look it over?
I reviewed it entirely, and I didn't participate in negotiations, but as far as the agreement goes, it's fine.
Thank you. Anyone from the board have any questions or comments in regards to it?
Since this contract expired as it has, and you have sought a 2-year contract, and thus this is what you're going for, so I would assume that after the 2 years are up, you would be seeking another 2-year contract?
We'll go into negotiations again, and then the negotiations kind of determine how long the contract is. The last contract was a 4-year contract. This contract is a 2-year contract.
I think you answered my question.
Can I just also mention
Yes.
that I think it's good that this is only 2 years because, you know, with the police reform bills and a lot of things that are coming into effect, some of those come into effect next July. And we're not even sure how that's going to impact us. So I think it's really good that we're not pushing this out any longer than 2 years.
Very good. That's a good point. Okay, thank you guys so much for working on this with us.
I compliment Joe working with the FOP, Jeremy Fuller, president, and to accomplish this agreement.
Well, do we have a motion to accept the actual language of the Fraternal Order of Police Collective Bargaining Agreement?
Yeah, I'll second that.
We have a motion by Commissioner Finer, a second by Commissioner Masciano. Any other discussion on the collective bargaining agreement? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries, so we'll move forward with that agreement.
Thank you.
Jean Minner, are you on tonight?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Jean, I think you're going to talk about Resolution R5-2021, the Strategic Demolition Grant Funding Application.
Yep. You have before you a resolution to endorse the submission of a grant application to the state of Maryland's revitalization program known as the Strategic Demolition Grant Fund. It's administered through the Department of Housing and Community Development. And they fund certain revitalization projects. They fund partnerships between municipalities and private investors and developers for the betterment of the economy of the town. And so this grant application is to request $1 million in assistance for a project to be located at 100 Chesapeake Boulevard. And the company is 100 Chesapeake Boulevard LLC. It's a new LLC that will acquire the former Gore plant at 100 Chesapeake Boulevard and redevelop that to a manufacturing plant facility. So the grant will be used for demolition of certain mechanical components interior to the building, a little bit outside, but mostly interior to the building, not the building itself. And in preparation for the redevelopment of the building to manufacture medicine.
Quite frankly, it's pretty exciting that this all comes together and we're able to bring in a manufacturer, and I think, in fact, I know the board, hopefully they know who we're talking about here, but it's, they've got some exciting things, and it would be bringing Elkton at the top, certainly in this nanomedicine world, and it's something that I know that our residents would be extremely pleased that we're creating a home here in Elkton for this project, and it would be some of the initial numbers that we saw could be up to 1,000 jobs. So it's an amazing, quite frankly, it would be an amazing thing if this all comes together, and this is one part of it. Nice. So Jean, you need a motion on this resolution?
Yes, if you could approve the resolution for submission for the grant application, that would be great.
Very good. Do we have a motion to submit resolution R5 2021 strategic demolition grant funding application?
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Givens and a second by Commissioner Rummel. Any discussion on this at all? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Gene, I have a comment, or Mayor.
Yes, go ahead, Lou.
The resolution involves an MOU with that company.
Yes.
And I don't know if Gene wants to elaborate on that or not.
Since we're requesting this funding on behalf of a private party, there's a usually the grant funding sources will require a memorandum of understanding between the applicant, which is the town, and the recipient, which is the private developer. So I believe, was the MOU submitted to the board?
I think
Yes.
it was
Okay.
attached.
We
Yeah,
had
so-
it in our packet.
Okay, so with the grant application, which is due July 8th, we would include a memorandum of understanding between the town and the developer so that everyone's on the same page with what we're doing here, requesting funding that'll be provided to the developer. The town is not under any other financial obligation, but as a pass-through for this grant. And we would just ensure that the applicant comply with our procurement policy and with, whatever grant oversight is required for that grant.
Lou, can that be done administratively with you?
I think the board probably needs to approve an MOU in this case because if the board authorizes me to execute the MOU, that would be fine.
Can we get a motion to allow the town administrator to execute a memorandum of understanding with the prospect? We have a motion by Commissioner Givens and a second by Commissioner Rummel. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Problem solved.
Thank you. Okay, next up, is Mr. Evan Rollins online tonight?
I am. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, Evan Rollins, you were here for a petition for annexation for the second time of the requesting, representing the Ayers family on a parcel located in the 3rd election district, which is 56.1806 acres with improvements, which I think everyone knows it's kind of in that little pie section of Elkton Newark Road and Bell Hill Road area. You are on, sir. Tell us what.
Thank you. So, and of course, we are all familiar with this property. It's been up for quite some time. The matter was previously before the town and actually passed to go to the county. There were some issues at the council hearing. They had some questions that they quite frankly wanted answered. They had some concerns over traffic, ingress and egress access points, and maintenance and upgrades of Bell Hill Road. At the council hearing, the matter was tabled to answer those questions. Unfortunately, we were unable to resolve those questions in time for those issues to be resolved. Pursuant to statute, the town has to have a public hearing within 30 days of advertisement. It wasn't able to occur after tabling at the county level. So unfortunately, the first petition sort of died a natural death. We have since resolved the issues, we believe. I've executed an agreement with the heirs that will run with the land, indicating that upon the sale of the property to any future owners, they will be required to do any maintenance upgrades to Bell Hill Road. And of course, that would be part of the planning process anyways. So I believe that the hurdles that we ran into before, we are not going to run into again. I believe that we're ready to move forward on this project.
Very good. Anyone from the board have any questions for Mr. Rollins? I think we're all aware of this, and we accepted the petition the last time, and I'd like to ask the board for a motion to accept annexation A1-2021, the Ayers property. We're going to accept it for introduction purposes so it can be sent over to Cecil County government. So we have a motion by Commissioner Givens, a second by Commissioner Mastriano. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries. We're going to get that petition over to them again.
I have a comment, Mayor.
Yes, go ahead, Lou.
A question for Mr. Rollins. Can he give us any probability on the county's approving the zoning change to C3 for this property? The town wouldn't be in a position to accept that property. It's 56 acres for high density residential, but if it's zoned C3, a highway interchange, that would, and the project can go forward for that 595,000 square foot warehouse or distribution center. That would, we could provide the sewer capacity for that, even though water is provided through agreement with Artesian for that property. But the Cecil County Board simply needs to accept or reject that zoning request. That's very important and critical to this annexation.
That is
strings attached.
That is correct, and I certainly can't speak for county council, but I can say that the inclination that I got was that the concerns that they had were over the issues with Bell Hill Road, as well as they wanted some sort of indication that the town wanted this project. I think by introducing this to the council, that answers the latter question, and we've sort of resolved the issues with Bell Hill Road. I did not get the impression that any of the council members had an issue with the zoning change. I do not expect that that's going to be an issue when introduced to the council at their hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rollins.
Absolutely.
Luke, you're on. Town administrators a report. Do you have anything, Lou?
The thing I want to discuss with the board, I don't know if you want to do it, how you want to do it, but the 205 Boo Street property, I had prepared a lease for the Elkton Colored School Museum and Cultural Center. And subsequent to that preparation, I had suggested to the board that we may sell the property fee simple to that organization opposed to a lease agreement. And I passed that question on to John and to Perry Seaman because I had wanted to put a reversion clause in that. I'm not an attorney, so I'll let Mr. Downs discuss that. Johnny, you on board here? Or?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think you need to discuss the pros and cons of a lease
Okay.
versus a fee simple sale of this property.
Sure. There really are two approaches. One of them is to offer a lease, which would typically be a 99-year lease, automatically renewable or automatically renewed unless there's notice from one side to the other, which would keep the property titled in the town and give the town the authority and ownership of the property. There's another thought, which is the town doesn't necessarily want or need to own the property. Let's just sell it outright. But then the concern is what happens when subsequent owners have it. So the thought was, in the event that this new entity, the LLC that's been created, that's going to receive the property, in the event that they, for some reason, went under, it would revert back to the town. So those are really the two options. Concern about the latter, the reversion back to the town, is that the law generally, the courts generally don't favor restrictions and restraint on free transfer of property, and to put those kinds of restrictions on are generally not favored. The facts and circumstances here, maybe because of the fact that if you sold to this new entity for $1 or $10 or whatever, and negotiations to go with it, there's Perry and I both have spoken. We've considered this, and the concern is that if the town at some point in the future were trying to claw this property back, then maybe the courts wouldn't uphold that provision. At the end of the day, so what happens if you just sell it outright? What happens if you sell it outright with that clawback provision? The thought is that if you sell it with that clawback provision in it and the court doesn't uphold it, you're in no worse shape than you would have been if you just sold it outright. But you're going to spend a bunch of expensive litigation costs. And so I think those are really the issues. I think it would be favored if you're going to sell it outright, to sell it outright and don't have that clawback provision. If you're inclined to shepherd over the property and make sure that it can continue use the way you described, that just do the 99-year lease. I will say one thing. This entity is I understand that it is presently an approved 501c3 corporation or entity. In the event that a 501c3 entity goes out of business, becomes defunct, the law requires that any residual property that they retain has to be transferred to another entity that exists for similar purposes. Okay, so you kind of, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Okay, either way, I wouldn't put the fallback provisions in it. The question is, does the town, I mean, this is a question for you guys, does the town want to continue to own it and then lease it with a 99-year lease, or do you want to just sell it outright and be done with it?
Just a little bit of history on that site was that, I guess it probably goes back 5, 6, maybe even 7 years now, when we met with the former county, I think it was even the county executive before the previous county executive. I'm sure it was Terry Moore. And we had to go through a process. We knew what our direction was going to be. And I know that we had to go through, the school board had to declare it a surplus property. And then we had to have the county commissioners decide it was a surplus property. And it took some time for this to happen. So I think the intent all along my understanding, the intent all along was the town of Elkton was not gonna own that parcel. We were gonna pass it on and make this cultural school, which I'm very excited about. I think it's gonna be, great for our community. Does anyone else have any questions or comments about it?
Well, my only comment or concern was the fact that all good intentions, I mean, we all have good intentions, but some people don't revere history like other people do.
Mhm.
And once that becomes, someone else's property and we're all gone, they could turn, could they tear it down and build apartments? I mean, I'd hate to see something like that happen. So my only concern was how do we protect that from happening? But if you're telling me that it has to revert to a similar entity,
Well, that's
is
in
that
the,
enough?
this is, as I understand it, a newly created, relatively newly created LLC. And the question that I was addressing is what happens if they simply go out of business?
Right.
Then any residual property, like money in a checking account, and any that they still have control over, would have to be given to an entity that exists for a similar purpose to theirs.
So could a nonprofit take it over and tear it down and build a meeting hall?
Well,
Or is
I would-
it protected under the historical?
Yeah, that's where I was gonna get at. I think that the building, since it's gonna become, it truly is a historical property that has tremendous amount of meaning. I don't believe that it would ever be allowed to be torn down. Can we put a
we could put
deed restriction?
I think we could write it a restriction on it that would, again, run with the land that would be
So we're
recorded,
protected.
essentially like Holly Hall has.
Mayor?
The historical easement, but Gene would probably.
Gene, can you answer that for us?
Yeah, if they received grant money from Maryland Historic Trust for the work on the building,
Okay.
which I believe they did, didn't they? Was that Maryland Historic Trust money, or did that come from another funding source, the 250,000?
I believe it came in a bond bill, but I'm
Okay,
not sure if it's through the historic trust, but I agree with what you're going at. They would definitely put a deed restriction on that money.
they would require an easement if the money came from Maryland Historic Trust. That runs with, they would require an easement on it to preserve the historic nature of the site.
I believe that we could require an easement. I think that's what we do. I think that resolves it.
Yeah, we could draft that. If one isn't presently fashioned and contingent on receipt of whatever money has been tendered, we could put one and make that requirement in conjunction with the transfer.
Gene, definitely.
Yes.
Gene, do you feel comfortable with that?
So much.
Yeah.
Much better.
Charlie?
I feel comfortable with it, yes.
Earl? Lou, did you hear it? We could move forward with this as a sale, and we'll work with John to be able to put some type of easement so that it would maintain that historic nature. That would be wonderful.
Understand that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, Lou?
The only other thing I had was fireworks. We're gonna have fireworks out of West Meadow Park. And I had sent a suggestion out that we allow pedestrians, not vehicles, pedestrians, to enter East Meadow Park because that's a substantial distance from where the fireworks. And I know there's going to be a lot of people, or a lot of foot traffic that want to go see this. And I think there was some discussion about keeping people out of Meadow Park, whether it's east or west, and having people around town. But I still think that's a viable space for people to go to who want to walk down there, set up a chair and watch the fireworks. No, I wouldn't allow vendors in there. I would only allow, we would only allow people to walk in and sit down, lay on a blanket, whatever, and watch the fireworks. But that we, of course, obviously the police would be there to keep any traffic out of there or anything like that.
How's the board feel about that?
I'm okay with walking and pedestrian. As long as they're kept in that one section.
Okay, everyone,
One
I
thing
think it's,
One of the questions was asked to me today was for the people that don't walk, We were doing some testing for the virtual, with the drone for the fireworks. How does the other people get a chance to tie into this that are not aware of what we're doing? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to bring this together. The question was, how do the people that are not aware of this drone situation with the fireworks, how do they know what place they can go?
Where they can park and walk in. On the, the day, the town website, posted that the fireworks were gonna be at Meadow Park today. There's been when I left the house, there was over 150 shares throughout the social media world. And I think that we could get that message. In fact, there was a part on the town, whoever entered it in stated that they would get back to viewing areas.
And Dan, can you speak to that? You asked Dan to speak to that.
And Dan Hanley, can you speak to where the viewing areas are for the fireworks, or get it posted so that we can get it online?
The question I have for the board is, do you want specific areas, or I was gonna put some general areas? Basically, you can take the crowd, which is the Meadow Park, and spread it out all through town. So I was gonna put some signage around Howard Street. I could put some signage at the municipal parking lot right across from the pavilion. I could put a sign up by the Howard's Pond. I can do that as well. Those are the areas I'm thinking for the time being. I might do some more out there as well, but I might even put some at Marina Park if I had to, because you can actually see from all the different places. Because of the way the fireworks are set up, now you have an additional like 200 feet. So it's quite a lot of area they can see, but that's our intention, just to move out and tell the public, hey, you don't have to be in one place, you can see it around. So we're trying to spread the area around. So I'll have little signs that I can make in-house.
I think that was fine, but originally, and I can understand what Lois is saying, but it was our task to be around to see where the drone was, so a lot of people wouldn't even have to leave the home. They may see it from the street or what have you. So I'm like Earl, some kind of way you've got to be able to communicate that to the public, that not only do you have that site around town, but some can see it from home. Because also you would probably have a lot of people coming from Cecil County. We're going down to the Meadow Park to see the fireworks. And basically even the message can hit them as well. Because I don't think the police will want a wealth of people down there when they really have to accommodate them.
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Givens. We have to, in the next couple of days, if we can figure out how we can designate areas through the town, and we'll get that message out. And how do we get that message out? Well, we're going to have to do it via social media. If we have to put a little ad in the paper, I think we need to do that. I put on my Facebook page viewing areas that I knew that would work. Eder Park, we knew that anywhere on Howard Street would work out fine. The Big Elk Mall would be wonderful. But I think that if you read the comments on the social media page, it kind of comes off that Meadow Park's closed. If they read it correctly, there's no issue. But we got to make this as simple as we can for the viewing areas of viewing. And I did see your signs you're making. I think that they're absolutely wonderful, and I think that's going to be a home run.
So basically, just with the governor's lifting the restrictions, it could just be a comment that Meadow Park will be open to walkers only.
I can just say that I'm a little concerned about that, because that's going to cause a lot of problems. First of all, for decades, we've been doing it in Meadow Park, and tons of people have been coming down there. And for those of you who've been there, you see that foot traffic and the issues that we have trying to manage that. And then what we were kind of gearing toward this year was thinking that both of those were going to be closed, and that we were going to leave I believe the roadway was going to remain open, and we were not going to allow parking along Delaware Avenue. I think that's gonna be difficult enough to try and manage, that people don't just stop and try and do that. And now if you throw in foot traffic, I'm just a little concerned about how well we're gonna be able to make sure that they're gonna be able to be safe on that road.
That's a very good point.
And kind of, and sort of manage, at least be around and be able to check on these other viewing areas, because it's gonna be all around
It's
town.
gonna be hard enough to keep the traffic moving. Everybody's gonna want to stop, right, or pull into the
At
park.
the- Yeah, for as long as they're going off, we probably will try to stop.
Emergency vehicles. how the roads are going.
Everybody from out of town is gonna want to go right to the park.
That's what-
Well, that's why we have to find designated areas for them.
Well, I was really kind of hoping that maybe we could just kind of block off the roadway and then we wouldn't have to worry about them stopping, trying to get out and go into the park. If we blocked off Delaware Avenue, would make it my job a lot easier.
And I think that we're aware that we have gone with larger caliber casings, which is going to allow these fireworks to fire, I'm thinking 30% higher than they've ever been before. So areas where they have never seen fireworks before in the town of Elkton, I think that this is going to give us the ability to get them higher. Now, I'll also say, if it doesn't show higher, I'm happy to go back to the way we've always done it. But I think at this point, I think we're kind of committed, and I agree with the chief. I almost think that we just block the whole road off and they can park on Howard Street. They can cut off and park in front of Earl's house on Whitehall Road.
Well, they will.
Yeah,
you do.
They will.
And
Just help me know.
I kind of think if we allow them to walk down there, Lou, I think we might be causing some issues.
I understand the chief's position, and I agree that two things that could cause a problem. And I think what's going to happen here, you can put this information out in the paper, on our webpage, on Twitter, on Facebook, and there'll still be a lot of people that's going to show up in that park because they're just programmed to do that. And I just think there's going to be a real mess for us this year to start out, because you're changing the behavior of many, many people who don't look at Facebook or Twitter or web
Well, we
pages
can-
or something. They just saw
If
it.
we can direct them, to park at the farmer's market,
Or down there, and then if they're coming Delaware Avenue, to turn them into where, the old furniture place was, Village Hall. Yeah, just have officers there maybe to direct, even with something, we have signs, fireworks parking.
I think that's what we need to have, fireworks parking signs. Let's give it a try. I know that this team can do it.
Large signs.
We can do it.
Okay,
And each
that's all I had.
All right,
What I
let's
have.
just work on the signage better.
bigger signs.
Bigger and better. Thanks, Lou. Hey, Dan, I got Dan Hanley. I do have a couple questions for you, Dan. I was asked by a resident today off of oh my gosh, it's on the tip of my tongue. In the Thompson Estates area, are we going around actually grubbing right now?
Not at the moment.
Are we working on sidewalks, like pulling up grass in sidewalk areas?
We've been spraying a couple areas like downtown. We've been spreading and, as the cone's been getting bigger, we've been spraying. We haven't been grubbing, but we actually been spraying some areas. We have been doing that.
Okay. It was on Tartan Drive today, outside of Tartan Drive. I had a resident call me and he said he saw a truck down there like with a spade, like cleaning up grass. I don't know if we are or not, but I don't know why anyone else would be doing it if it wasn't us. I don't know.
Sounds like the Vector truck. I mean, sounds like the regular grass pickup truck to me, but.
Okay, well, I'll find out a little bit more. The other thing I wanted to mention, I know that we've got our highway restoration money and you're probably putting out items to bid for blacktopping some of the streets in the town. But I would like to ask you if you could take a look over the next week or so, and let's try to fill every pothole on the town streets, if we could kind of make that a priority.
The puddle should be filled. If you see one, let me know, but we've actually finished the extensive patching's done, and my guys been taking care of potholes. If there's something, we will jump right on it.
Okay, very good. I can tell you on the intersection of Friendship and Hermitage, there's a pothole, and there's also, and I hate to point the finger and say right there in front of my house, but there's a pretty good pothole there too. But I know there has to be other potholes throughout the town if we could take a look at them.
They will go away.
Very good. I wanted to compliment everyone for their efforts of being involved with the ribbon cutting at the recreation center. I thought it was a huge success. Had a great crowd there of dignitaries, and I'm very happy that we can get that thing running full speed. And the last thing that I have this evening, I didn't make Rob Maspiano's 35th anniversary for Tidewater Tattoo, but the board, minus Rob Maspiano, has something for you this evening. We do. So we'd like to make this presentation to Rob. I think everyone, did you make this presentation?
It was made,
It was made.
but it was not in the case of that.
So now we have it framed.
You're broken. but you know, right?
So we'd like to give this to Rob. Thank you. I'm sorry I wasn't there,
I knew you were there in spirit.
but the whole town, on behalf of the 16,000 residents in the town of Elkton, appreciate your
I was
business.
tattooed about 14,000.
Not any there.
Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, that was very nice. Mr. Dave Wooten showed up from Peter Francho's office. I had lunch with him. It was a very nice afternoon, a little hot, but I had a great turnout. I saw a lot of old customers come in and give me their best wishes. I really appreciate this, everybody. Thank you.
And very good. And one last thing I wanted to mention, I know it wasn't at the, but our Memorial Day parade, our float was fantastic. And I'm sure you guys probably mentioned this at the last one, but wanted to thank the Hanley family for putting that together. Wonderful job, great job, and thank you.
Thank you. I'll share it to the general.
With that, Commissioner Maspiano, do you have anything tonight? I think we've got a couple things.
Well, I've got Ed Dow here from Public Works. He's going to talk to us about the stairwell that runs down to the back parking lot off of Main Street and the archway that he's proposing to build for us. Ed, did you want to speak on that?
I do, but I don't know exactly what I'm doing with it.
You guys all have your photographs of the
We do.
stairwell, right?
Yep.
Ed would like to replace the 3 railings that you see with one single railing to match the ones down at the bottom. Not exactly. He may come up with a unique design for us there. And also build an archway at the top of the stairs facing Main Street that says "Welcome to Elkton." As far as I'm concerned, Ed is an artist in his own right, an artist by all means. And I think that we should just let him have free reign and design this. He's done a great job with other projects for the town. I'd be excited to see what he does with this one.
I would say that Mr. Ed Dow has been 100% on all the projects that I've ever seen him do, and I'd be more than happy to give that authority. Are you guys all good with that?
Absolutely.
Ed, you're in charge. Thank you.
Are we gonna have any problem with those trees?
They may need to be cut back. Worst case, cut down.
Take the island down also here.
In the front?
The island will be taken out. We have discussed that.
Okay. Interesting. It's gonna be beautiful. Thank
It will be.
you. I hope you enjoy doing that.
Rob, anything else?
The only other thing is this Joe Vanaski's event that's coming up in August. Are you guys all aware of this? It's a community event. Pass it down. He's got just about everybody in town involved in this. He's been contacting me almost daily. And every time he does, he's got 12 to 14 more sponsors, businesses, the banks, the hospital. Everybody is involved in this. I think we should have a hand in it. My new band, the Nightcrawlers, is going to be playing at it. He's got Channel 2 and Channel 11 News coming up from Baltimore to cover it. He's going to have ex-ball players there, and he says it's just a fun community event. It doesn't even seem to be a fundraiser of any sort.
I'm looking forward to being there.
Yeah. And that's all I have.
Very good. Commissioner Finer.
Let's have a comment. I attended the Parks and Rec dance recital last Sunday. And enjoyed it. Just had a couple comments at the new community center. Everybody sitting there. I was one that was sitting there from 12 until almost 4. I suggested that we purchase a couple of tents because it was a nice little setting. It was a nice event outside, but then the shelter, we didn't have any shelter. So I would just mention to some of the board members that we should purchase a couple of tents, like maybe 20 by 40 or 40 by 40, 2 of them. And where they were sitting, it would even be a nice place to have a couple of picnics, events for the recreation center. When they have outside events, they can be able to use that. So I just want to lay that on the table.
Well, good. I actually, when you brought that up to me, I kind of like the idea, especially if we're having those outdoor dance recitals. I think it's something that we could probably use, and we'll take a look at trying to attract one of those tents.
Robin, before you go on, I'm sorry, I was a little remiss in mentioning the passing of Mr. Lemon. Very unfortunate, and I'll miss his presence here at the meetings. I'm sure we all will.
And also to make a comment, nothing long, but Ms. Lemon was really good. Was not just the board, but people in general. And so it was truly missed.
Yes, he will. Commissioner Gibbons.
I have a number of things. Louis, I know you're on, and I know Rob mentioned the fact that you got potholes, but I always thought that it was the not responsibility or request of your workers, whether they Parks and Rec, or whether they DPW, or whether they be guys who are inspectors in the chip department, when they see something abnormal in the town, they're supposed to report that. Unfortunately, Rob brings the fact that we got potholes, but that responsibility ought to lie with your personnel as well. I know certainly myself and Earl and others have brought things in like that. And you know, the human eyes are not only sit and rest here, but it should be a part of their responsibility as well. Again, that's my opinion.
I would agree with you.
And secondly, Rob Mastriano, I enjoyed your little ribbon cutting ceremony. Of course, Jean was the speaker on behalf of you, Rob, so kudos out to her. That was very good.
Yeah, thank you, Charles.
Thank you, Charles.
Right. My pastor mentioned on Sunday in church that they having a Juneteenth celebration of putting up a flag, I guess tomorrow at 11 o'clock at Wright's Church. Is anybody else aware of that?
I received an email.
Well, and I'm glad that you received that because, you know, we paying for some of their expenses, and I thought formally that, you know, each one of us should have received something from whoever the sponsor is. Not that we have to, but it's an acknowledgement of what you're doing to help them. So, again, my opinion. Sometimes my opinion is worth something. Parks and Rec, we had a good ceremony, ribbon cutting during over there last week. Thank Louis and the Department of the Parks and Rec staff for that. MML, we're supposed to be also having that here, at least that's Rob Mastriano's request. Michelle, is there any update on that for us to know?
We received responses from about a half a dozen entities, and the majority of those entities were yes in person. But considering the fact that we haven't received any response from a large number of people, so I'll be following up with Rising Sun, see if they can do any follow-up as the secretary is, or I beg your pardon, Delaware, and see if we can garner any interest, because at the moment, yes, the majority of the people said they would come in person, but the majority was about half a dozen people.
When is
Yeah,
that? That's next month.
July 25. It's a Thursday.
Yeah, we still got some time. I'm confident that we'll have a nice turnout.
Really? But, and we need to get firm numbers because we have to secure the location, we have to secure the food and everything, so I need leeway.
Do we have contacts and phone numbers? Because I would be happy to take that on personally, and I'll make the calls.
Okay.
If you can get those to me.
For the MML, you want to take that on personally? I think there's a person responsible for that,
The secretary of Delaware.
the secretary. I mean, that's nice you want to do that, but that's her job.
Okay.
You probably didn't know that.
I just,
She's supposed to be in contact with everyone in the
I'm certainly
office.
willing to pick up the ball and run with
You would run with a ball too. Human resources, Lois, are we supposed to have someone coming on board for our budget?
I'm sorry?
For a human resource position, and there's going to be a new one per budget?
Yeah, we haven't, Joe Zarillo is looking into that, the HR director. Joe, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. We just completed a pay study, and we also just completed a preliminary job description, which is being reviewed. And then once we get the permanent job description and the go-ahead for the amount of pay, we're going to begin that process to hire a new HR manager.
Thank you, sir. And Louis, we are partnering with TCPS students, Parks and Rec Guard, and there are going to be a lot of kids over there. So who has the responsibility of cleaning up in Park and Rec on a regular basis?
Who's in charge, you mean?
No, who's going to be cleaning up, doing the daily chores? There's nobody actually assigned to clean up over there. Now you're going to have a large number of kids each day. So who has that responsibility to clean up behind them? And make sure
Mary has her staff cleaning up now. She has a number of people that work for her, part-timers and all that. They doing the cleanup now because we don't have a full-time custodian over there. And Jimmy is a little bit, I don't think he can handle both buildings. So we'll have to we'll see how that works out in terms of.
Points well taken. Why don't you have Jimmy go over and explain to the Parks and Rec staff what's necessary to keep the building clean the way it should be? I know we just got over COVID and everything else, so that would be a good task for him as well, to let them know. Then you got a clean building.
Yes.
My opinion again. And Mr. Lemon, unfortunately, he's gone. He was a very good man. I used to see him walking around the track. He was one of the probably the only person I had actually seen to come to a meeting and be positive and being influenced to us rather than some of the people that we had in the past. So unfortunately, he was here and now he's gone. So we'll see him one day in the sky.
Yes, we will.
That's it. Thanks.
Commissioner Broom?
I don't like.
We covered it all.
You covered everything.
Perfect.
I just don't understand it right now.
Next time.
Oh, I have
I
one
don't want to
more.
bore you.
Well, I'll be
Oh,
one
no.
for you. Good.
Go ahead.
Chief, do you want to put signs in the yard? I thought I saw that on Facebook or something.
For recruitment?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, I sent that back to Dan. I'm trying to get Dan's staff to make some signs up and start putting it out. We really are trying to do whatever we can to solicit and try and find some really good viable candidates for us. On that end, I will just mention to you that we did just apply for a grant, recruitment and retention grant for sworn officers through the governor's office. It's just a 1 year and it's about, I don't know, $50,000. But we're hoping for just a little bit, something to give us a little bit of boost out there. It's competitive, so we don't know, but we should be hearing by the end of the month. And that was fun. That was a fun process for us because we've done it before. This is our first grant application experience, so that was fun. But we're trying to get some incentives little monetary incentive for people that have a military background, maybe bilingual or college educated. We're trying to get some money for longevity for the officers that are here and on the retention end of that. Trying to get money to purchase outer vest carriers to take the stress off of the lower backs of the officers that are here. It's been something they've really been pushing for a while. And so we thought, well, if we can get that in this grant, that would be amazing. And then also some referral incentives for officers that are here if we can anyone. Because unfortunately we did lose, we lost Officer Dale Smith that I think I had already told you guys was going to be going back to the sheriff's, so we're going through the sheriff's department. But I did get another resignation announcement from Detective LaFew. The other you know Detective LaFew has been here, has been with us for over 16 years. He will be leaving us at the end of July, or end of June, I'm sorry. As they go, we're getting more in. We are trying to do a lot on the recruitment end. We did just pick up 2 new recruits that are going to Baltimore County's Academy June 21st. Michael DeLone and Justin Farron. And then we're still, we still have the 2 that are in Harper County's Academy that said they graduate in August. So yeah, we're looking for signs. We're looking for anything. Part of this recruitment and retention grant includes billboards, hiring billboards. So we're trying anything we can. We'll take any suggestions, any help we can get. But that being said, still on a good note, we're still trying to get out and be positive in the community. I think I had mentioned on one of the police management reports about a program called Badges for Baseball. That's a partnership with Boys and Girls to Go Club. That's where the officers go out with staff from the Boys and Girls Club and teach them life skills, but also, while they're playing baseball, teaching baseball skills. This group is Boys and Girls Club to Go is currently in a couple areas in town, but it seems like their biggest following of kids is over near Windsor Village. So we want to do this program there. And this is part of the Cal Ripken Foundation and a program that they started. And what we're hoping for is that we will also be able to get some students from this group. So we'll have at least 2 officers out there with them once a week for about an hour or 2. And they will, like I said, do these, but also do some life lessons. And we picked, I think they've actually picked like 5 lessons that they want to do with them. And it'll just run from the end of, it's like 6 to 8 weeks, from the end of June through the beginning of August. So that's one thing. And then I was told today that, I didn't realize this, but, and I might get the name wrong. I'm sorry, I just thought about this while I was sitting here. The NFL player, and I think his name is Miles Scott. Does that sound right?
No.
No. Okay. He's an Elkton High School graduate, I believe. And apparently on July 10th, they're going to come to Elkton High School and do some kind of program with some kids there. And I guess the NFL requires law enforcement presence, at least for security. So we will at least have 1 officer there at minimum for that too. So there's some, as stressed as we are and as short-staffed as we are, there's a lot of work being done there, and there's a lot of good happening too. So
A lot of community.
I would like that. I would like to add that certainly, I just get a lot of calls about Windsor Village. You go to bed at night with them, but your officers actually have been going back and forth out there, and there has not been any complaints in the past 3 weeks, at least not from my phone. And the kids were out there playing last night, so that's a good sign that the police are there. Lastly, I'd like to say that I hope the morale of the police department is good because, it's tough being a police right now. You look on the ball in the news every night, it's a very stressful situation. Now, Ocean City just had a complaint, and I think they have a great staff down there. Cecil Solidarity was in Prairieville today because there was a student that lives down there who presumably was sprayed with mace or something like that. I had his mother in class. But, it's damn if you do or damn if you don't if you're a police officer. So much like me being an assistant principal in school, and I've certainly seen there's a fight in the hallway and you go break it up. Instead of worrying about the 2 kids, I would get grief from parents because you either didn't grab the girl this way or you didn't do this. So I understand what police go through. And It's just a tough job.
It really is, and the support that the board gives and the community is so critical to the officers and for their resiliency. And, you know, but we are constantly getting good things and good feedback. We had the Rail Troopers Association, their auxiliary unit provided lunches for them last Saturday. So that's great. We had the ladies Central Republican Committee provide lunches today. They were there yesterday to catch all of our squads. I mean, those things, they are really appreciated, but so is the wave and the hi and the thank you and everything that we get. And I'm constantly trying to get them feedback that I'm getting. I was at the Hollingsworth Manor. They also had a community day last Saturday, the same Saturday. So I went down there trying to get out. One, I've been behind a desk for a long time and in the back office here, even though I've been with the Elkton Police Department for a long time. So I'm trying to get out and make sure everyone knows. And if they have issues, they can come to me too, and we want to address it. So, but we absolutely appreciate your support more than you know. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good, Gene, ready now?
I was fascinated by everything you just told us. I mean, that's wonderful.
There's so much going on.
Yes, it's really.
Yeah.
So I was went the wrong.
There's probably enough over there. They're so generous with us.
The only thing, well, Dan, is Dan still with us?
Yeah, you might have to talk a little closer.
Dan, are you still with us?
I'm still with you.
About that fire hydrant?
Let me check into it. I believe it's still active, but I'll double check it, okay? Let me get.
Oh, is it?
I believe it is.
Okay. I was just curious because I know it's pretty old and kind of obscure, so I didn't know if it was one that had been, you know, just nobody knew it was there or.
Oh, we know it's there.
Okay.
Yeah, we have 618 of them. We know where all of them are.
Huh, okay, thank you.
Sure.
The only thing about Mr. Lemon is, he was actually a patient at my first job. Him and his family. They were wonderful, wonderful family back then. And I not only miss him here, I miss him as a neighbor. Because like you said, he walked all the time. And whenever something was going on with my family, he always was checking in, you know, genuinely cared. And it just showed the character of the man that he was. And as far as in here, he always amazed me with his questions and his suggestions. I often thought he'd be a wonderful addition to this board. So he will be missed, and God rest his soul.
Thank you, Gene. This is the time of the meeting. We open up the floor for anyone that has anything to say for the good of the town of Elkton. There's I'm looking up there on the Zoom meeting participants. Does anyone have anything to say?
Mayor?
Yes.
I just want to second all the emotions about Mr. Lemon. I mean, the town of Elkton lost a great citizen.
Yes, we did. Thank you, Pat. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.